Hello, you are listening to Cali Chats, a healthy living podcast with a goal of helping you find true happiness within your mind, body, and soul. I'm Jessie Cali, and it is time to get real. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Cali Chats. Today I have a very special guest with me, my best friend and fellow LSU alum, Rachel. Say hi, Rachel.
Hello.
Okay, guys. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Rachel, for being here with me today and, for giving me a room to stay in on my way to Disney World.
You're very welcome. Glad you can make it down for the world's coldest and most boring Mardi Gras ever.
Yeah, well, thanks. So today in this episode, we are going to dig into dating in the modern world and also one of the most annoying ways people decide to dodge people, ghosting. Ew. I decided Rachel would be a great addition to this podcast because, like me, we are both single and navigating the dating world from completely different perspectives. So, buckle up, ladies and gents, before we keep going. Rachel, give everyone a little bit of outlook into who you are and your perspective.
Okay, so I live in New Orleans. I have been living and working here for about 5 years. I don't date very frequently. I kind of find that whole situation stressful. I don't love meeting new people that much. But there are times that I push myself out of my comfort zone and get out there and try to get on the apps, try to date a little bit, see what that's like. So I've got some experience there. And
some? You have more than some experience.
All right. And it's funny because everybody I know says that this is kind of considered in line with my astrological sign, which is Taurus. And all my friends are so into that right now. And they always remind me that I'm a very grounded person. I'm very realistic, but I'm also pretty stubborn. So yeah. So that translates into me wanting to stay home all the time and not meeting people. So
yeah, love COVID for you.
I know, right? It's great for me. JK. But I know that out there has to be other earth signs, other Tauruses out there that are with me on this. And I mean, I don't really take it very seriously, but it's just like fun. It's a fun way to relate to people. Like, I can say I'm a Taurus, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you are the same way.
Yeah, I'm a Leo. I am a Leo, and I'm sure all of you can see how we would date completely differently. I love meeting new people, and that's not scary for me at all. COVID's been tough for me in a completely different way than it has for Rachel because I am a people person, and I'm not allowed to touch people right now. Right. I also struggle with the idea of dating, and I'm completely different from her. So I thought it'd be fun for us to do this together. But yeah, I definitely struggle with the idea of dating because of the dishonesty that comes with it all.
What do you mean?
It's not like that question was written out for you.
What do you mean, Jessie?
What do you mean? I'm talking about ghosting. I'm talking about back pocket people. And I'm talking about lying. It just makes things so much more difficult. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, sucks.
It does suck. Now, if we are talking to some happily taken or married individuals right now, remember you are blessed, okay, to not have to be dealing with the current dating pool because it sucks.
Yeah, it's rough out there.
It's rough out there for a Leo and a Taurus and everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we just wanted to give you guys a little outline real quick of where this podcast episode is going to go. We will first of all be walking through some of the different dating apps out there that we have used and giving you our takes and ranks on them based on what you're looking for. Then we are going to dive into some of our personal experiences in the dating world and end it with a talk about ghosting and give you some tips on navigating this very weird dating world that we are living in. We are going to walk through the dating apps that both Rachel and I have used, and we're going to rank them, talk about them, and then at the end wrap it up and let you know which ones we suggest for different things. So, Rachel, what kind of apps have you used?
Okay, so I remember in college, that's kind of when Tinder was really big. You know, like
that's like when it really started happening, I feel like.
2015, 16, 17. So I started using that then. I think it was much different then than it is now. But my general gist of it is it's a volume game. Like you're getting
Right.
a lot of people to talk to.
Quantity over quality.
Yeah, sometimes, not to say that you can't meet your Tinderella
Yeah.
out there. But I know people that have made it.
I
off
know,
of
I know.
Tinder.
There are people, actually, like one of our closest friends met on Tinder and from college, and they're still married, happy with a baby. So it can happen.
Yeah.
We're not saying it can't.
Totally. But yeah, I didn't love it just because it kind of got to be the same monotonous, formulaic almost. Once you get a match, you say hi, talk a little bit, make a date. Maybe you get a number in there somewhere, and it just kind of cycles over and over again.
Right.
To me, that's what it was like.
It was very basic when we first got it. I remember back in the day, it was like you had the location services on, you put in a little bio, and you put some pictures in, but that was it. There was
that too.
Nothing else. Now, I have used Tinder recently, and I was looking for an ego boost, okay? And I realized that there's more Hingy type stuff on it now. So if you really want to give it a go, you can put now, I think, questions on there that are like icebreakers.
Wow.
And then I think you can also do topics of things that are most like you. So some people put coffee shops or hiking or whatever. So they have tried to make it less of an app that's going for hookups, because honestly, that's how it felt for a long time, was if you were on Tinder, you were not looking for a relationship. You were just looking to either meet people or to hook up. So I will say they've tried, but yeah, that's been my gist of Tinder as well. I've met some interesting characters from that app.
Yeah. So to me, it's just kind of a quick, easy, like just take a peek at what's out there.
Yeah, if
have
you're not
a few
really ready,
conversations.
If you're not really ready for a relationship, Tinder is perfect because, like you said, there is a huge volume of people. You really don't know what they want. It might give you the practice to talk to people. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very surface level.
Yeah.
I mean, all dating apps are that at a certain point, but I feel like Tinder is just because how much there is on there.
Right. So you know what's interesting about Tinder? People that are listening to this haven't used Tinder. Tinder is the type of app that once you match with the person, you both like each other, both people have the ability to message each other. So I could message the guy or the guy could message me, whatever. It doesn't matter who messages. But then there's now Bumble, and Bumble's been out for a while. It's not now, but Bumble came out because it gave women the ability to not have to talk to the guys that they essentially matched with. So like you match and then
you have to start the conversation.
The girls have to start the conversation with the guys. So the girl reaches out to the guy, and then the guy has the choice also to respond back to you. And if they don't respond to you, you also don't get to talk to them anymore. So it's kind of a game of making sure you actually are really interested. But I don't know about you, Rachel, but I do not like Bumble at all.
Yeah, it's not, to me, it sounded good at first. I did try that one out.
Right.
But I just am not that kind of person that likes to start the conversation. Like
Me either.
I think it was trying to get rid of that Tinder thing where the guys like swipe
on everyone.
Swipe hey, swipe hey, swipe hey.
Yeah.
But that just puts it on the girl to do that.
Yeah, swipe hey, swipe hey. But yeah, and that's what it does, put it on the girl. And
like, what good does that do, really?
Right. And it's so many games, and I hate games. I have two brothers, and one of which was also for a while on some dating apps. And he actually told me that some boys will swipe right on everyone.
Yep.
And then they will just like wait to see who sends them messages, and then they'll just choose who they want to respond to at that point. And that's what really discouraged me from wanting to use it, was when I swipe right on someone, I am actually swiping right because I find them either attractive, I like something on their profile, like I want to talk to them. And then me knowing that maybe these people didn't actually like me, they just swiped me right.
They didn't even look.
They didn't even look.
They didn't care.
They didn't care. That was so painful for me to hear. I was like, what the heck, man?
Especially after like Tinder makes a big deal. It's like, it's a match, and like put your little pictures together.
Yeah.
Like, here you go. Here's your person.
Like, they give us our little mini love story when we smash together. Well, that sounded weird.
Smash together.
But you know what I mean? We smash together little pictures and it's little hearts, and you're like, it's a match. And then to find out that it may or may not be real was like painful for me. I would get up the courage to send a message and then not get a response. Yeah. And I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So I kind of hate Bumble. I don't know. Maybe there is some other people who love Bumble. I do not. But if you are someone who doesn't want random dudes just reaching out to you, maybe that's the app for you because you get to talk first.
You get to decide.
Rachel and I are both different people, but we both don't like being the first person to reach out. So it's, you know, I think it's the luck of the draw with that one. Different people are fine with that and other people are not.
Right. Totally.
So then we both got into some other dating apps because, as you can see, we did not love the results of Tinder. We did not love the results of Bumble. So we both eventually stumbled into Hinge.
I did like Hinge. Hinge was a little more, it's funny because I remember when I was first introduced to Hinge, it was like, that's the app that the doctors get on.
Yeah.
That's the app that you go to if you want to be a doctor's wife.
Right. And I'm pretty sure that the Bachelor and the Bachelorette contestants used to pimp it out for a while.
Yeah.
They would be like, you should get on Hinge.
So they're like, it's a totally different world on there.
Right.
But all these are kind of the same, right?
You'll see the same people on literally every app.
Right.
Have you ever seen that?
Mm-hmm. If you're living in the same place for long enough, you do.
Yeah.
So Hinge is one where you fill out a lot more, you have certain questions that you fill out. You have a little more conversation starters.
It takes a while to do the profile. That's the one thing I'll say.
Yeah.
Is you can't just whereas start. You actually have to put photos. You have to put 3 questions. It's minimum 3 questions have to be answered. Yeah. And you can really tell if a person doesn't care because they will literally just put 1-word answers. Yeah. And then at that point, I'm like, goodbye.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot more people that try. They try at least a little bit. And yeah, I guess Tinder and Bumble you can see that there are just a lot of profiles where people just not just guys, girls do it too, where you're just kind of putting pictures up. You put a few words about you on the bio and that's it. And Hinge is a little more, it gives you more space to put
be
more
creative.
About you.
Yeah. And it gives, I will say, a lot of times, it's just awkward. Online dating, it's not, super fun. It's awkward. And Hinge gives you those, talking starter things.
Yeah, you can, kind of tell a little more about someone's personality before you even decide if you want to start a conversation with this person.
And in order to match, you actually have to go comment on something. So it's I don't think you have to comment, but you have to like it. You have to like something on their profile in order to send them a match.
Right. And so it's not just, hey, it's I have to
You have to click the little heart, and whatever you choose may mean something. I always loved when someone would look at one of my answers, and they would like it and then comment back and say, oh, that's super funny, haha, or something. I was like, I am funny. So I did like Hinge. Hinge was probably the one free app that I felt I could find suitable matches that actually were ready to maybe commit. Maybe, still
maybe. It's kind of hit or miss anywhere, but it just kind of felt like at least you can have
more serious people,
or just even a more interesting conversation.
Yes, more interesting conversation than hey, you're hot.
Yeah. It's a little more expectation too.
Right.
Expectation management there, because it's kind of you're expecting to have a little more of a conversation rather than, hey, pics, that kind of,
That's true. That's good. Or the worst. Can I have your Snapchat? I don't use Snapchat anymore, okay?
I still use Snapchat.
Oh. Okay, well, I have 2 groups on Snapchat that I respond to occasionally, and then I have a couple friends if I feel like sending them stuff on it. But other than that, I'm not just going to give you out my Snapchat.
That's fair.
It's weird.
I'm just saying I still use it.
Okay, fine. Okay. Whatever. Anyways, last free app we're going to talk about is Coffee Meets Bagel. I barely use this. I don't think you ever use this.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, well, it's an app. So Coffee Meets Bagel was kind of like Hinge in the way where it definitely was more serious because it was so complicated. You had to have these bagels, and you could only use so many bagels a day to lick people.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very complicated. And one of my friends had suggested it. She was like, it's the real deal. You can find great people here. And that did not happen for me. But I will admit that it does have more of a, algorithm or whatever meant to helping you find people. But there's just not that many people on it.
Yeah. Maybe there's a good thing to these little niche apps, because I'm sure there's plenty of them out there now.
Oh, there's so many dating apps.
Maybe don't have as many users on them, but maybe you find someone in that smaller pool that is...
It's more quality.
Maybe. It's worth looking. If you just want to look through the random dating apps that are out there, like Coffee Meets Bagel, or
I don't know any of the other ones because
other weird
I don't
little
really
one.
trust the little ones that
That's
much
true.
just because I feel like some of them are scammy.
Do so at your own risk.
Yeah. And then the last one we're going to talk about is Match. Rachel's not done this before, but I did. When I moved home back to Tennessee, I had gotten all up in my feelings because I was ready to date. I was finally in a point in my life where my trauma, my different things I had gone through in therapy were over. And I was ready to meet my man, my soulmate. Still looking. Hey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm hitting on people through this. Okay, I'm just kidding. Anyways, I tried Match for 6 months. They got me, okay? Like, I saw the deal. I was like, 6 months for that much money? Sure. So I did it.
And your sister actually had a successful experience with Match.
So my sister had been pushing me for a long time to try Match. She met her now husband on there. And it wasn't immediate. She was on there for a while before she found him. So it does take time on any app. But I just was not willing to do that, I guess. It's tough. It's tough. Match was cool. I will say the nice thing about Match is there's so much you have to put into your profile. You pay for it. There's a lot to put on there, whether it's pictures or answers to questions. You have to fill out all these things about you and then have a nice bio. And then you start the process. The process is fairly similar to all the other dating apps. You know, the whole swipe right situation and liking each other. And then the conversations just were different. So, like, I will say the nice thing about the paid app is most likely you're going to find people who are more emotionally available and actually looking for a relationship because they're paying for it. Mm-hmm. Like, why would you pay for an app if you actually don't want to have a relationship? Now, I have ran into some fakers. You know what I mean? I ran into some people who were pretending like they wanted a relationship and they weren't. But like any app, you're going to have some duds before you find the needle in the haystack. Is that what they say?
Yeah. They do say that.
Yeah. So I would say if you are like looking, like, Match is not a bad thing. I did not find my, knight in shining armor yet. And I don't think that's because he wasn't out there. I just think that I unfortunately ran into a lot of people who were not ready to commit and had some issues in their lives. And I'm the type of person, I can really only date one person at a time.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I'm so bad at that. Like, I know all my friends are like, girl, you got to date multiple people. I'm like, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to get to know people, but it's also exhausting to have to keep track of all these different things. So I've always kind of been one date kind of person. Like, I meet someone, I'm like, I really invest time. So
until it like plays all the way out.
Until I have closure and all of that. So that was tough because even if I'm paying for 3 months, well, I maybe really only had 1 to 2, 3 people that I was talking to because it was like a month here, a month there, a month there. And I'm like, it's over.
Yeah. Downside of that is like you feel like you gotta make most of your time while you're doing it instead of taking your time.
Right.
You can't be like, I have $20 sunk into this. I gotta get somebody.
Right. I spent like $100. Like, it was not because I did 6 months. So I think
6 months, $100. That's even bigger.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it's like, I don't remember. Don't quote me on this, but it's like about $20-something a month. And if you did like 6 months, they like cut the cost of each month or whatever. So I ended up paying probably like around $100 after tax. And I'm like, well, I better find a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is a fancy date.
It's even more pressure. It's kind of like a gym membership almost.
It's like a gym membership. It is.
Instead of healthy, you get to date.
Right. Right. So, okay. That is our outlook on all the apps that we have used. Maybe your experiences are similar, maybe they're not. And if you have something you'd like to share, please email me and let me know or reach out to me somewhere for Cali Chats. I would love to hear your experiences and maybe we can update this on another episode. Anyways, I would say our pick on the best free app for looking for a relationship is Hinge. Would you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hinge is great if you are not willing to put the money in, but you still think you want a relationship. That's what I would do. As for paid apps, I've only tried Match, so I can only really suggest Match. I will say people paying for this app definitely do seem more emotionally available and looking for actual commitment, so definitely go for it if you're looking to pay. But maybe you're looking for more of an ego boost or just something like that. Maybe you're not actually ready to jump into the dating pool. I would say Tinder is still a good option for that.
You can always just start there.
Just test. test yourself on Tinder. I won't say that it's beautiful. It's not always that, like, go on TikTok and see some of the funniest TikToks about Tinder. You will find some crazies, okay? Like, we warn you, there are crazy people on Tinder.
Yeah.
But there's also normal people.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I
think next I'll be trying a matchmaker services. I will go to someone and have them put my name in the computer and have them spit out
just a random person's name?
A random person.
Do they do that?
No.
Is that a real thing? Oh. I was like, where can I find that? I've actually told some of my friends if they could order me one, that would be nice.
Oh.
Just order me a man.
90 Day Fiancé.
Yeah, but, you know, I just have a few things I need. Okay, whatever. We're moving on. Do you think you're ready to date again? And I'm not talking to you, Rachel. I'm talking to our listeners. I don't know what you just said to that, but if you think you are, I do want you to remember these 3 points before we continue. I truly believe in order to be ready to date, you must be able to 1, speak your truth, 2, be honest, and 3, date with an open and available heart. Do you agree with that? Would
Yes.
you say that that's, yeah, like I would say that there have been many times that I've tried to date when I didn't have one of the 3 of these things and unfortunately didn't work out. Or maybe I got much more stressed than I needed to. So I definitely think always speak your truth, be honest, and date with an open, available heart. We're going to continue to talk about this for the remainder of the podcast. So without further ado, story time.
Yeah.
Are you excited? No, you're not. Why aren't you excited?
Oh, so cringy.
Why is it cringy for you?
For me, oh man, I just think about the way that I behave when I am dating somebody.
Oh,
Just embarrassing.
I am so excited to hear about that.
Oh.
You think on that while I tell my first story.
Sure.
Sure. So I'm going to start off with my first story of a nightmare of a date that ended with me literally calling my parents to come pick me up immediately. Do you remember this date?
I think so.
You do? Yeah. This date was the date that inspired one of my super big number 1 key rules of dating. I will not meet up with anyone now until I have had a phone call or FaceTime, I usually make it be both, with them to measure if there's like some sort of chemistry at all. It also just makes things a little less awkward for me. So I do highly suggest that if you are someone who just feels like in-person stuff is awkward in general, having a FaceTime with someone beforehand, it just takes that pressure off. You see them, you hear their voice, and you see if there's any compatibility at all. And so yeah, I highly suggest that. This date. So I've actually blogged about this before, back in my first blog on dating. It was my first story I talk about, and I call it the original pack of oatmeal. And I've been told that is savage. And I'm like, no, I'm being honest. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to be honest. In this story, I shall call this man Oatmeal because this was quite possibly the most awkward worst date I've ever been on. Okay, that was a little mean. It was a nice date, but I legit had no chemistry with this Oatmeal man at all. So the birth of the name of the story comes from the car ride home from my date with my parents.
Very awkward. That's a little awkward.
Well, I called them. I literally called them because I was so tragically having the worst time ever. I was like, Mom, you have to come get me now. And all my friends are like, aren't you like 28 years old? I was like, I am. I called my mama to come pick me up. So anyways, I was ranting on this car ride home. I wasn't angry ranting. I was just like rambling, really. I could not find one thing I liked about this dude, like at all. Like not one thing. And not in a mean way. It was just like, in general, we were just not compatible at all. And I was mad at myself for not knowing that sooner. I'd been talking to him for a few weeks at that point, but we had never really connected via FaceTime or something like that. So it was literally a mystery to me what he is going to look like, be like, all of that. And I don't like blind dates. Like, even if you've texted someone, let's just say that first. Texting means nothing.
Nope.
Means nothing. You
Watch
can't read
any
a person.
episode of Catfishing and they'll tell you that.
Means nothing. Oh, it was tearing me up inside. And the only way I could explain it to my friends was, have you ever bought the variety pack of oatmeal? Have you?
Yeah, I love oatmeal.
Yeah, see, I'll explain it to Rachel right now. So, there's always a few different flavors in there, but there always is that original pack of oatmeal in there too.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you're like me, but I literally always would eat up all the other flavors before I would ever get to the original pack. The original pack would always be left in there, and I would just leave it. And I would also have to add stuff to it if I even wanted to use it. I don't want it. I don't want it at all. I don't want the original pack. It's so bland, and I have to add something to it. It's boring. Brutal, I know. It is brutal. I'm calling this guy the original pack of oatmeal. But that's seriously how I felt in that moment after the date was this guy had no value to me at all. Like, there was nothing about him that was interesting or anything about him that was compatible. I kept thinking to myself, like, is this why people ghost people? Is this why people lie to spare people's feelings? The thought of being honest with Oatmeal and telling him I wasn't interested was super gut-wrenching. I just didn't want to do it.
Wasn't he trying to plan like another date with you?
Yeah, he had another date the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, like he literally had another date. Like before we even met up on this date, he had already planned another date the next day because he liked me so much, I guess. I don't know. And that was freaking me out because I was like, guys, I can't let this continue. There is nothing about us that's compatible. And I'm really not trying to be mean. I am sure there is somewhere out there for this man. Yeah. Maybe he's married. I don't know.
Some people need oatmeal. They have high cholesterol or something.
It's true. It is
Some
so true.
Some people like it.
Right. He wasn't my guy, but I'm sure there's someone else out there for him. And that point right there is exactly why when you don't feel a connection with someone, you have to be honest with them. And you have to tell them how you actually feel. In order for any of us to move on and find someone new, you have to give clarity and closure to those people so they can. So don't be selfish. Don't try to spare feelings. You have to be honest. Now, I'm not saying you have to be brutally honest and mean and give the exact reason why you didn't like them, but just let them know that you were not interested. Like, I didn't text this guy and go, "You're Oatmeal. You suck." I was just honest. So anyways, the entire ride home, I felt sick to my stomach. I didn't know what to do. The thought was killing me. And in that moment, I started to realize why so many people chicken out and ghost people. Like, I figured that out, and I had never felt that before. Previously, really, I had been more so the one ghosted and trying to figure out why someone would do that to me. And it's easier than having to deal with the possibility of hurting someone's feelings, right? But you want to know why I didn't do that? Why did I not just ghost Oatmeal?
Why?
Because I know how bad it hurts to not be told. Ghosting and disappearing is just too hurtful. It's too hurtful, and it's more hurtful than being told the truth. Like, I just wish someone would tell me the truth. Because most times, if not all times, the person ghosting you is the problem. It is not the other person. Like, I was not necessarily ghosting him because he was just the blandest human on the entire world. I was also ghosting him, or wanting to ghost him. I didn't ghost him, but wanting to ghost him because it was so painful for me and it wasn't compatible. And I was like, that was my fault for not realizing that. I should have realized that before. I hadn't put as much effort into figuring out who this person was before. And that was on me. I shouldn't have been on this date in the first place. That was my fault. It wasn't that I wasn't ready to date. I would have never dated him in the first place. So anyways, so much more better. Oh, I said bad things. More better. It's more better to just tell the truth. At least with the truth, you know your date is no longer interested. Who even cares why? And you can move on to someone new. So during the car ride home, I literally, I called my brother. And I said, Jim. Hopefully he doesn't mind that I put his name in here. Jim, help me. I was like, how do I let this guy down, but also make sure he does not contact me back?
Yeah.
Because I don't want this.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, you just have to be brutally honest. You have to tell him exactly, like, you don't have to say exactly why, but you have to be like, there is no more of this.
Yeah.
You don't ever send someone a text that's like, well, I just don't know if I'm ready right now, or blah, blah, because you're still leaving that door open. You need to close the door. The door is no longer open.
Yeah.
Close the door. So I texted him and I said, thanks so much for the date. I had a good time, but I did not feel a connection. I don't think it is a good idea for us to meet up again. I wish you all the best. It was brutal. It was brutal. Like paper bag, like breathing. Oh, bad. I was sick to my stomach, but I couldn't lie. Like, I'm not a liar, so I could not lie. I could not ghost. I could not be like every man that had hurt me prior to this moment. I am better than that, and I knew he deserved the truth. So, to my surprise, he unexpectedly, graciously sent me a text back for my honesty. He said, hey, oh, okay. Thanks for the honesty. I wasn't expecting that, but I hope we can still be friends. Now, okay, like, why are you sending me that? Like, I'm not going to be your friend.
No.
We weren't friends before. So I think that at that point, I did not respond to him. I chose not to respond to him because I had already said my piece. And in my opinion, it was clear that I did not want a friendship with him and I just didn't want to talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
So I think, like, you know, if someone chooses to not really read the text you sent, that's on them. That's on them. But as long as you're honest and you let someone know you're not interested, you have done your part.
Yeah.
He even like texted me the next day and he was just like, hey, like, how are you? I'm like, dude.
Yeah, no.
I said I don't want to see you.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people share their experiences online of Tinder, you know, like weird stuff, all kinds of weird, you know, experiences or just anything that has happened on Tinder. People share it online. And for the most part, people share these kind of experiences too, where they just get communicated with in this way where it's super honest. And they're always the conversation around those kind of messages from a date is always just like, oh, that's a good person.
Right. Yeah. It's like I always want to finish out any type of dating scenario that I'm in with a positive thing. I never want someone to feel bad or mad that I did something because we've all had that. We've all had a crappy situation in dating and it deters us from dating for a while because we are so broken from it. And I hate that. I did not want him to feel that way. I wanted him to know that you are not for me, but go on, find someone else.
Sure.
So key takeaways, do not settle. If you don't have a connection with someone, be honest with yourself and move on. There is someone out there who is better suited for you. And don't settle for less than you deserve. 2, ask more questions and be honest with yourself early on when talking with someone. I did not do this in this situation. I had realized I wasn't interested in this man from the start, but I wasn't asking important questions, and I could have avoided this date completely if I had done my due diligence from the start, done a FaceTime, done anything else to figure out that our compatibility was non-existent. And then lastly, be honest, brutally honest if you have to be. Please note what I said earlier, you can be honest without being mean. You just need to be honest that you do not see a connection. Give them closure. Let them move on. You are going to be hurting them regardless, so don't give them hope that you are an option if you're not.
True.
You know what I mean?
I have an interesting question. I don't know if you want to go into it.
Sure.
But do you think that if someone's not getting the hint, that ghosting is kind of the only option at some point?
I think
if someone thinks that they are entitled to you to talk to them, sometimes you have to be the person to just stop responding.
Right. I do think so. Ghosting is a terrible thing sometimes, but it is also a necessary thing sometimes. I think it's wrong when it's done as a first option. When you are just not feeling it anymore, or for whatever reason you've decided you're out of this and you just ghost. I think that that's a cop-out, rude, mean person, not good to do. I think it's, honestly, I think it's cowardly. Super cowardly. However, like you're saying, if this guy had continued to reach out to me over and over again after I had already told him that I was not interested, I ghosted. Because at that point, I'm like, I told you I wasn't interested. He literally had the text. You can go back and look. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. And I didn't tell him we could be friends either. Like when he said, I hope we can still be friends, I did not respond and say, sure. I just didn't respond. So I do agree. I think that if you have said your piece already and you've said, hey, I am not interested in you like that, or maybe you have someone else right now, or whatever you say to them, if it's clear and obvious that you are not interested and they keep texting you, ghosting's totally fine.
Yeah, I think there's a little nuance to it, but I agree.
Right. So, do you have any stories that you would like to share?
Maybe not that in depth.
It doesn't have to be in depth. I'm a talker.
Yeah, no, I think my stories are mostly kind of, like I said, I don't date that super frequently and kind of only start doing that kind of thing if I just feel like I want to push myself. And I've had experiences, maybe about as many experiences with real in-person meetups that I just, you meet out in the wild, you meet, just
work, life, bars,
whatever. You just meet and kind of get numbers and decide to do that. And I've met people on apps too.
Right.
So I think that what I've learned from the difference, because I think some people kind of still feel like, oh, meeting in person is just, that's the superior way. That's the way, we used to do it.
Right.
That you get the superior connection from that. And I think what I've learned is that that's not necessarily true.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Especially not this year.
You can, the people that I've met in person, I did, and I think I put more weight on those because I was like, oh, this was more real. It feels more real to me because I actually had a conversation with this person as the first step instead of a text or instead of a message or whatever. So I just kind of was like, well, this is, a better situation than... But I think what I've learned is I think that that's not true anymore.
It isn't. It can't be. Not in the digital world we live in. It's hard to meet people nowadays. Like, especially right now. Well, take COVID out of it. This
year doesn't count.
This year doesn't count, but it's still hard to just go outside and just, one, feel comfortable meeting someone or just walking up to someone or having people around you to meet someone.
Right. So I think that all my experiences have led up to just the realization that you can tell when you have a connection with somebody,
Right. It's pretty easy. It's just like an interview. I always say that within the first 10 minutes of an interview, they already know if they want to hire you or not. They are just doing what they have to get the interview done because they have to. But they already know. Everybody knows their compatibility with someone. That's why I said earlier, if I would have just frickin' picked up the phone, I would have known that this guy was not for me. But it didn't. Right. So it's all about doing that due diligence, I feel like. Because, like you said, you're going to know if you're compatible with someone. It's just, it's a feeling. It's a thing. It just, it happens.
Right.
And everyone always says that. They're like, when you find the love of your life, you just know.
Yeah. And not to say that it doesn't take work, too. I mean, you got to find someone that, one, you can have the connection with, and two, is willing to stick with it, put work into it, like they're ready to do that. So I think that is my main takeaway. Basically,
it's similar. I mean, you can still find people in real life too. Like there were a couple.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting because you've already been physically attracted to them, and then they talk to you, and then you're like, oh, I like that too,
and not just a picture, like a real deal,
right? But how fun is it though on the apps when you see someone on the apps, you're like, okay, they're okay, and you start talking to them, you're like, oh, okay, they're okay. And then you see them in person, and they just look so much better. Have you ever had that happen? I have had that happen so many times where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like them or not. And I see them in person, I'm like, hi, it's me, Jessie.
I feel like I'm a person that's not that...
Okay,
I don't want to say that I don't want to say that I'm not photogenic.
Oh,
I'm just awkward with. I'm just awkward with pictures. Like I can see where. I mean, I don't want to generalize, but I feel like dudes are sometimes just not.
No, they're not as into pictures a lot of times.
No.
I actually am very fearful when guys are really into selfies on the apps.
Yeah, that says something too.
When I see a lot, there's so many stereotypes behind the apps, which kind of sucks. Yeah. Like compared to in person. I guess in person there's stereotypes too, but comparatively, I feel like in person you already know if you're walking up to a person you're interested because of their vibes and everything like that. But on the apps,
you have so much time.
You have no idea about anything. You don't know how they sound. You don't know if this is actually what they still look like. Maybe this is a picture from 6 years ago.
You just got to pick apart that profile.
The difference between men and women, I feel like, on a lot of these apps is that men don't take as many photos. Yeah. Whereas women, I took 30 photos today.
It's true.
It's true. Whereas I learned that from my brother, because my brother, I would look at, one time his profile popped up on mine when I was in town.
Oh,
because, obviously, Tinder and all these things don't know that you're siblings. But he popped up one time. I was like, oh, look at it. So I, was looking at his profile. And I was like, this picture is so old. But it's because, I mean, that people don't, guys don't take as many photos. So I get it. And I am fearful sometimes when I do see a lot of selfies. Because then I'm like, what's up with you? Oh, that's funny. I've never really thought about it like that. But thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. So, I mean... Whatever.
Whatever.
It's all dating. It's all the same. Right. But, don't get down on yourself. Just do what feels right when it feels right.
Do what feels right. keep going. If you are ready to date, there will be someone out there. It just always feels like there's no one.
Yeah.
So have you ever, this is random, but have you ever had like someone that's like too good to be true? Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, this goes back to me being Taurus, and you say Taurus?
Taurus?
I feel like Taurus is like
Taurus.
like Taurus is like the car. Taurus.
I don't know even how to even say it. Taurus.
So my answer is no, because I take things as they come. So
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, not really, but
well, okay.
Why do you ask?
I'll explain. So I, as a Leo, I see the best in a lot of people very early on, and then that quickly changes fairly quickly based on what's happening. The too good to be true thing for me, I've had this happen many, many times, and it's something that I've had to learn from. So I hope I can help some people out today with sharing my story about it. The most recent particular thing I'm talking about is I had someone from Match. Okay, people. Match is the app. Like, you don't even have to ask people if they want a relationship. You know. Mm-hmm. It says it. They are. Anyways, I met this guy on Match, and he was super into it, okay? Like, he was just progressive. I don't know the right word, but he was into it. Mm-hmm. And so much so that he wanted a date. Like, we started talking one night. He wanted a date the next morning. I was like, what? Okay, whatever. So I was actually very nervous because I let him surpass my rule. Like, we did not do a phone call or a FaceTime. I let him surpass my rule because we had already done so much texting back and forth, and the first day was insane. So we went on our first date. Yes. And it was wonderful. He was beautiful. Okay, if he listens to this, you are not beautiful. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, are you attacking him? I'm not. He doesn't know who he is. Anyways, he was great. There was a lot about him that we were just super compatible. It was one of those things where you're just like, dang, like I really get along with this person. Yeah. And everything felt right. It was good. He was like, are you vibing? I'm vibing. Are you vibing? We were both vibing. Like, he was like, I want to see you later. I was like, okay, like, yeah, let's do another date. He was like, well, like later today. I was like, what?
Can I just interject and say,
yeah.
I would hate this. This is not my person.
Yeah. This is perfect for me because I love everything being about me. I'm a Leo. I love being the center of attention. I love people to love me, okay? I want it.
Okay, just had to say that.
I want it. Yeah, no, I know. And so, yeah, we went on a second date that day. Like 2 dates in a day. It was just like, I'm telling you, this man was in. I was like, this is my husband. I found it. You know, you're like already dreaming of what you could be like together.
I'm going to tell this story to my grandchildren.
Yeah, I'm like, we're going to get married, we're going to have kids. But guess what follows that?
Ghost.
Heartbreak and ghosts.
Oh, no.
But here's what happened. So we went on the second date. It was wonderful. Also, just as great as the first. We have so much compatibility. Still to this day, I cannot deny that this man and I have this insane connection to each other from just a person-to-person standpoint. Like, we would obviously always get along. Mm-hmm. Full of energy, just like me. We just get along. So, anyways, I had seen him one more time, and we were supposed to have another date after that, and we had been talking all the time for like a month or so. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we were supposed to go on a date. He was supposed to come pick me up. We had texted the night before. And he's like, yeah, I'll pick you up tomorrow, too. Mm-hmm. I never heard from him again.
I remember this. And you were like, did he die?
Yeah, I was like, did he die? Because it was just so shocking. Because he was such a gentleman at this point. Guys, he opened my doors. And I'm not just talking like doors of restaurants. I'm talking car door. Like, he would come around to my car door to open it. He wouldn't let me open my own car door. He was polite as hell. Anyways.
I had never heard of such a thing. Like, I have heard of guys dropping off the face of the earth maybe after a date or two. Right. But not on the way to a date. Like, what?
Right. So then I had also found, get this, not only did he ghost me, this boy had blocked me. Mm-hmm. Now, he did not just, like, block my phone number. He had blocked my phone number. He had blocked my social medias. Keep in mind, we were not even friends on social media.
But he just went ahead and blocked you.
He just went ahead and found me and blocked me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, this is sketchy. And, of course, like, I kept, what was my first immediate thing I did? What do you think I did? First thing immediately after all this happened. Blamed myself.
Oh.
Like, I just immediately started thinking, well, obviously something's wrong with me. What the heck did I do? I went through my text. I was like, what did I say? Did I say anything weird? And obviously that was stupid. It wasn't my fault. But a lot of times when we get ghosted or we get blocked or something happens to us, you immediately look at yourself, which is stupid. You should never do that. And that is the lesson I want to teach with this story, is that it is by no means your fault if someone ghosts you. It just means that they are, one, a coward, and two, not willing to tell you the real reason that they're doing what they're doing. Whether it's them not being ready to commit, maybe they have someone else going on. It's their issue. It has nothing to do with you. And want to know how I know this?
No, yeah.
I know this because Ghost Boy came back from Ghostland.
Yes, he did.
He did, 6 months later. It was like almost exactly 6 months later, this boy shows up. Guys, you are going to die when you hear what happened. He adds me on Facebook. Adds me on Facebook. The audacity.
Goes on a liking spree, which is...
Yeah. See, Rachel already knows about this. In not even just liking, loving. Like, he reacted with the love, the heart. And I was like, okay. What? And of course, I was at first very off-put by this because what? You, like, literally blew me off on a date. You blocked me and ghosted me. And from what I can tell, there was no reasoning for that.
It's so funny when guys do that. They're just like, pay attention to me. I'm going to like 100 posts.
Like, why are you
You can't. My notifications are everything to you right now.
My notifications are everything. Yeah, so I left him in the waiting room. I call it the waiting room. For a few weeks. I was not ready to do whatever with that. And I know there are people right now screaming, saying, you need to leave him there. Say no. But I got curious. Because as I said earlier, part of me blamed myself. Why? Because a lot of times we have this low self-esteem or this low self-worth, and we're willing to blame ourselves before ever thinking, oh, maybe it's them. You know? Which your first thing should always be the opposite. It is not you, okay? It's not you, I promise. So what happened, huh? You curious?
Yeah, this is a great story.
So he came back from Ghostland, so I add him. And in true Leo fashion, I was not very nice about it at first. I messaged him and said, welcome back from Ghostland, what's up? What's up,
well,
stranger?
I thought this was, when you told me that you were doing this, I kind of had the feeling that, like, if I had felt that you were going to take it a little too seriously again, I probably would have told you to be guarded.
Right.
But I could tell that you already were.
We're guarded.
You were already kind of like, let's just see what he's got to say. Like,
yeah, I was just curious.
I was too. Like, I wanted to know.
My heart was so hurt. Guys, I was, I don't want to say heartbroken because we'd only gone on a handful of dates, but like my heart hurt so bad when he ghosted and blocked me because I genuinely think I'm a nice person. And I try to be honest and open with everyone when I'm dating, and I had been nothing but honest with him. So for him to just literally take my voice away from me, as you all know, that's very hard for me. Look at me on a podcast. That was incredibly hard to deal with because I had felt like there was so much compatibility between us, and the fact that he was willing to just literally take away any voice from me or even just say, hey, I don't want to go on the date anymore. He just literally blocked me.
Yeah.
On the day of the date. I'm still so mad about that.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, what kind of excuse could you possibly have for that?
Right. So he came back from Ghostland and he just was very apologetic about the whole thing. He blamed everything on himself and he just was very sorry about everything. But a very important takeaway from this is that the one thing he said to me that I didn't even ask for was he said, it had nothing to do with you. It had nothing to do with you. It was everything to do with me. I wasn't ready for a relationship at the time. I had a lot of things going on with my life, my personal life, and he actually gave me detail as to what these things were. Like he actually told me these things going on in his life, told me about his mental health. He told me a lot of stuff. So it wasn't like there was any reason to believe that any of this was false. Like I truly believe to this day he was telling me the truth about that. Yeah. So I think he's just going through a lot. And instead of just owning up to the fact that he wasn't ready, he just...
Yeah, and if it is something to do with his mental health,
right?
It's sad. Like I feel bad for him that he can't make the connection that he might have wanted to, but that doesn't give you the right to hurt somebody else.
Right. It's like he didn't even think about my mental health.
Yeah.
Like at that point, I really truly I love and care for everyone, and mental health is super important to me. So I have such a big heart for that, but I don't run away from my problems. And unfortunately, that's the way that he deals with his problems. He literally said that. He says, whenever I feel these kind of ways, I just run away. And my immediate thing that I do is I ghost. I block. And it's not just people in my life. It's everyone in my life. So he was essentially saying, I blocked everyone out of my life. I was like, okay, well, he literally blocked me. And guys,
that doesn't make it good. Doesn't make it better.
Right. So I literally was giving him so much crap about how, you blocked me, you did this, you did that, whatever. And we talked through it. And actually, he was wanting to give it another try. Mm-hmm. He wanted to actually go on another date. And I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, at this point, nothing to lose. So we went on a date. And it was actually a very personal date. I won't go into details of what. Had a great time. I met a lot of people in his life. It was great. Mm-hmm. And we were supposed to continue to go on more. We actually had another date planned. And we're supposed to go on it. And he kept, unfortunately, just having so much going on. You know that typical, the too good to be true. We're going to circle back to that. The too good to be true is whenever someone all of a sudden just is so busy. Oh my God, I'm so busy. And I'm so tired. I'm just so tired all the time. No one is too busy or too tired to talk to someone they like. Mm-hmm. If you actually genuinely like someone and you want to make it work, you're never going to be like that. So if someone is like that in your life, move on. Just move on. Take that, move on. Because that is pure, you're about to be ghosted, okay? If someone's telling you I'm busy in this, they're either going to tell you that they're done or they're going to ghost you. Now, I will say that most people that are actually busy and stuff, they're not going to just say they're busy. They're going to give you actual details. So there are people out there who do get too busy, but they say things like, hey, I'm super busy. I have XYZ happening at work and this and that. And they give you details. They're not just going to be like, I'm busy. Mm-hmm. I'm busy.
And they might even try to make time for you.
Right. So that's the too good to be true of that. So in this situation, he had just been not necessarily busy, but he was just so tired, had so much going on, so tired. So he had 2 different dates planned. He was super excited about them leading up to them. And then the day of would cancel. Mm-hmm. And right before. So at least he canceled these times instead of,
just in the middle.
Just blocking and ghosting.
Yeah.
But a week or so later after all this situation, because I was not putting much of my eggs in this basket at all because I had already had this happen before. So I was just putting 1 egg in there, just seeing what's going on, seeing what's happening. And so when he started doing this, I didn't care. I just wasn't sending any messages anymore. I was just moving on. So he sends me some stuff one night and we were chatting or whatever. And at this point, it seemed like he was ready. He was like, I'm ready to do this. Let's actually date, just you and me. Can you guess what happened the next day?
Mm-hmm. No more. Done.
He ghosted and blocked me on everything again.
Yeah. What I remember of this conversation, I don't know if you want to get into it that much, but I remember you saying that it was a very conversation of are we going to be exclusive? And he wouldn't say he wouldn't say yes.
Yeah.
He wouldn't say explicitly yes.
He didn't say yes, but he implied yes with what he said.
He was implying it, but wouldn't super duper say it.
Yeah, he's like, if you're ready, I'm ready. It's kind of what it came off of.
And then the next day when you were trying to follow up on that.
Yeah, I sent him a message just saying did you mean anything you said last night? Bye-bye. Yeah. So, safe to say, this boy has a lot of things going on in his life. And if you're listening to this right now, I hope you get the help that you need. And I by no means harbor any resentment or angst or whatever in my heart for you. I just hope you get the help you need if that's the case. Regardless, I hope that everyone that hears that story today learns that just be honest. Mm-hmm. Speak your truth, be honest, date with an open and available heart. Those are the 3 main points we talked about in the beginning of this podcast, and they still hold true right now. The reason I struggled with any of these things we talked about earlier is because a lot of times the people you're dating or finding, they're not these things. Mm-hmm. Something's holding them back, whether it's a past relationship, whether it's something in their life. Maybe they're too busy. Maybe they literally are too busy. But regardless, I believe in order to truly be ready to date, you have to be able to check off each of those points. And if you can't, please save some hearts and wait to date. Please work on yourself and become the best version of you possible. Because maybe then you will be available one day. And maybe then you can open your heart to someone else and someone new.
If you can't love yourself,
how in the hell are you going to love anybody else?
Can I get an amen?
Can I get an amen? Amen. Yes, we love RuPaul. Yes. So, like I said, if you can check off all of those boxes, have at it. You are most likely ready to date. But don't forget the key takeaways we have talked about today. You may be ready, but that doesn't mean that everyone else in that dating pool is as ready as you are. Do you have anything to say in closing, Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, we all out here together.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
You know that Seosin song? You're not alone.
No.
There is more to this, I know. That song?
Sorry.
Okay, well, we're going to listen to that song after we get off
listen to that.
So everybody, remember your worth and continue to share your light with the world. And more importantly, don't let anyone make your light shine less bright. I love you. Rachel loves you. And we are signing off. Bye. That's good. That was good. Peace.
Are you leaving that?
If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, rate, review, and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or pretty much anywhere you can listen to a podcast. For more from me and Cali Chats, visit www.calicreates.com, or you can check me out on Facebook and Instagram at Cali Creates LLC. Thanks, and talk to you guys later. Bye.